We live from New Delhi, you're watching TT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tahawwur Rana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. NIA questions Tahawwur Rana in detail over 26/11 Mumbai attacks. US in its statement calls him a Pakistani national and Canadian citizen. President Murmu conferred honorary doctorate in Slovakia, calls for deeper economic ties, highlights India's growth and cultural bond. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar calls for changing the nuclear laws to get investments. Also at Global Technology Summit says startup culture in India is deepening. Talks between the US and Ukraine on a mineral deal to begin in Washington, aimed at aligning both nations on long-term investment mechanisms, reflecting shared strategic interest. Indian film Homebound makes its way to the official selection at the 78th edition of Cannes Film Festival in the uncertain regard category. And on to the details now. Delhi court on Friday sent Tahawwur Rana to 18-day National Investigation Agency custody hours after he was extradited from the US. Rana played a key role in plotting the 2008 terror attack on Mumbai that claimed 166 lives, was arrested by NIA on Thursday after his arrival from US on a special flight. He was produced before Special NIA Judge Chandrajit Singh, who held an in-camera hearing on NIA counsel and Special Public Prosecutor Narendra Man's plea for a 20-day remand. In a statement, NIA stated that the extradition finally came through after Rana's various litigations and appeals were rejected in the US courts, and for investigators, the challenge will be to get Rana to reveal more than what he has already told the US authorities. Well, the US Department of Justice issued a statement after 26/11 terror attacks accused Tahawwur Rana was extradited to India from the US. It noted that Rana's extradition is a critical step towards seeking justice for the 6 Americans and scores of other victims who were killed in the heinous attacks. Calls 26/11 mastermind Tahawwur Rana a Pakistani national and Canadian citizen in a statement. Also, the US State Department reiterated its commitment to combating global terrorism in collaboration with India after the US extradited Tahawwur Rana.
The United States extradited Tahawwur Rana to India to face justice for his role in planning the horrific 2008 Mumbai terrorist attacks. Some people watching may not remember these, but I encourage you to look them up and to find out exactly how horrible this was and the importance of this situation today. These attacks resulted in the tragic loss of 166 lives, including 6 Americans, that shocked the entire world. The United States has long supported India's efforts to ensure those responsible for these attacks are brought to justice. And as President Trump has said, the United States and India will continue to work together to combat the global scourge of terrorism.
And President of India Draupadi Murmu was conferred with the doctorate honoris causa degree by the Constantine the Philosopher University in Slovakia during a 2-day state visit to the country. While addressing the Indian community, President highlighted the growing cultural ties between India and Slovakia. A state visit to Slovakia laid emphasis on increased economic engagement between the two nations. TT India's correspondent in Bratislava, Jayanti Jha, brings us more details on this.
India and Slovakia have close cultural and historic ties, and now, as President Draupadi Murmu's visit to Slovakia highlighted, economic engagement is also on the rise.
India is a global leader in AI research and data science. By combining Slovakia's strength in engineering and precision manufacturing with India's AI capabilities, both countries can drive innovations across many sectors. Your expertise can be leveraged to introduce AI-driven automation, predictive maintenance, or optimization techniques in Slovak industry.
During the state visit, President Murmu addressed the Slovakia-India Business Forum, interacted with the members of the Indian business community in Slovakia, as well as visited the Tata Jaguar Land Rover factory in Nitra. The Tata Jaguar Land Rover factory represents a major Indian investment in Slovakia. With an investment of 1.4 billion euros, the plant boasts an annual production capacity of 150,000 vehicles.
Slovakia and JLR plant in Slovakia, it's a very important part of our corporation. As you know, JLR Nitra is producing our iconic Defender. So the future of this plant is really important.
And it's been a great pleasure meeting the president here. Well, it's a great opportunity. We don't think of that in India actually. And as my colleagues also said, we live here miles apart from our family. So it's been a great moment and a moment of joy of us that we have seen our president or we have met our president. So it feels like someone is there coming from India to meet us or to see how we are here.
President Murmu's visit brings India and Slovakia closer culturally and economically by emphasis on diversifying the trade basket, further strengthening the India-Slovakia friendship.
Two leaders also witnessed the exchange of two memoranda of understanding. One of the MOUs is between the Sushma Swaraj Foreign Service Institute of India and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovakia. The other one is regarding cooperation in the field of small and medium enterprises between the NSIDC and the business Slovakia.
Trade was an important component of the state visit of President Draupadi Murmu to Slovakia, with both presidents emphasizing the need for increased economic cooperation between the two nations. A forward-looking partnership seems to be on the cards for the two nations, with both of them looking to manufacture, innovate and develop together. Reporting from Bratislava with camera person Loknath, this is Jayanti Jha for DD India.
And moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the holy city of Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. During his visit, Prime Minister inaugurated and laid the foundation stone for 44 projects worth 3,884.18 crore rupees, covering sectors like roads, spa, education, sports and drinking water. He also handed out Ayushman Bharat cards to elderly citizens, distributed GI certificates and transferred 106 crore rupees to dairy farmers. In his address, the Prime Minister said that Kashi has now become a symbol of both heritage and modernity. Taking a dig at the previous government, Prime Minister Modi reaffirmed his government's inclusive approach, said today the government is working on the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas.
देश के लिए उस विचार को लेकर के चलते हैं जिसका समर्पित भाव है सबका साथ सबका विकास। जो लोग सिर्फ और सिर्फ सत्ता हथियाने के लिए, सत्ता पाने के लिए दिन रात खेल खेलते रहते हैं, उनका सिद्धांत है परिवार का साथ, परिवार का विकास। आज मैं सबका साथ सबका विकास के एक मंत्र को साकार करने की दिशा में पूर्वांचल के पशुपालक परिवारों को, विशेष रूप से हमारी मेहनतकश बहनों को विशेष बधाई देता हूं।
Well, later in the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also visit Madhya Pradesh. In line with his commitment to carry forward India's cultural and spiritual heritage, the Prime Minister will visit Anandpur Dham in Ashoknagar district of Madhya Pradesh. And the 9th edition of the Carnegie Global Tech Summit began in New Delhi on Friday. While speaking at the summit, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called for changing the nuclear laws to get investments, while stressing that startup culture in India is deepening. Well, Global Technology Summit is India's flagship dialogue on geotechnology, co-hosted by Carnegie India and Ministry of External Affairs. While discussing the theme of the event, Sambhavna or Possibilities, External Affairs Minister said that it was appropriate as it reflected how India viewed the outer world.
I think the space advancements are very interesting, not just for what they have achieved, but the manner in which the space industry and the space ecosystem itself is changing. I would say that to some degree for drones as well. The startup culture is deepening. The number of GCCs in this country is growing. And of course, when it comes to the AI era, I think where India is concerned, it's not just the scale of the data which would be generated, but in many ways the diversity of the data which would make it somewhat unique.
Well, on the global front, Dr. Jaishankar discussed how the U.S. has changed its approach to the world in the past year, and apart from the U.S., China has also advanced in the past year.
The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to engaging the world, and it has consequences across every domain. But the tech consequences, I believe, would be particularly profound. And it'll be profound not just because the US is the largest economy, the main driver in a way of global tech advancements, but also because it's very clear that tech has a big role in making America great again. So there is a connection between MAGA and tech, which perhaps was not so clear between 2016 and 2020.
And moving on, India has been actively engaged in the relief efforts following the devastating earthquake in Myanmar as part of Operation Brahma. Apart from providing critical relief in its field hospital in Mandalay, the Indian Army has also deployed robo-mules and nano-drones in Myanmar's worst-hit city. This is for the first time robotic mule and nano-drones are being used by the Indian Army for search and rescue operations. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Trump accuses Mexico of violating 81-year water treaty, threatens sanctions over Rio Grande dispute. Death toll in Dominican nightclub disaster rises to 218. In sports, both Chennai Super Kings and Kolkata Knight Riders will aim to bounce back as they face each other at Chepauk tonight. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Vipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Next round of Ukraine-US talks over minerals deal will begin in Washington on Friday. Talks are aimed at aligning both the nations on long-term investment mechanisms reflecting shared strategic interest. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday that the talks would focus on technical aspects and foundations of future agreement. He added that the minerals deal with the US should be profitable for both sides and could be structured in a way that would help modernize Ukraine. He informed that the Ukraine's delegation would be headed by a deputy economy minister. While Trump is seeking a bilateral minerals deal as part of a peace push to end Russia's conflict in Ukraine, he also sees it as a way to recover billions of dollars spent on military assistance to Kyiv, though the aid was not alone. And U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war rattled global markets anew on Thursday as stocks and oil prices sank. Amid fears, China may once again respond in kind with higher tariffs to match the latest levies imposed by the United States. Hours after markets opened, the White House said U.S. tariffs on China stand at 145%, more than the 125% levy that had been widely reported a day earlier. The news sent shares falling further than they had earlier in the day. However, on Wednesday, the president announced a 90-day halt in higher duties for dozens of countries. But Trump has also doubled down by raising new tariffs on Chinese imports to 125%. Meanwhile, Trump said that he would love to get a deal with China to end an escalating trade war. The remarks were made by Trump at a press open cabinet meeting. During the meeting, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated that more trade policy predictability would result from the agreements they reach with nations.
China, we would love to be able to work a deal. They've really taken advantage of our country for a long period of time. They've ripped us off beyond anybody, nobody. How people stood for it, sitting in my position, is not even believable. And we're talking about many presidents, not just a couple. But they did, and all we're doing is putting it back in shape. We're resetting the table. And I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. He's been, in a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time. And I think that we'll end up working out something that's very good for both countries. I look forward to it.
Well, accusing Mexico of breaking an 81-year-old treaty and stealing the water from Texas farmers, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened Mexico with sanctions and tariffs in a dispute over water sharing between the two countries. Under the 1944 treaty, Mexico must send 1.75 million acre-feet of water to the U.S. from the Rio Grande through a network of interconnected dams and reservoirs every 5 years. An acre of water is enough to fill about half an Olympic-sized swimming pool. The current 5-year cycle is up in October, but Mexico has sent less than 30% of the required water. Meanwhile, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum in response said that Mexico has been complying with the treaty to the extent water is available amid 3 years of drought. Mexico sent a proposal to U.S. officials to address the water supply to Texas, which includes short-term actions. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, attending the cabinet meet, informed that the United States will hold direct talks with Iran on Saturday to discuss Iran's nuclear program. The talks between U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and a senior Iranian leader are scheduled for Saturday in Oman. Rubio said Washington hopes that the talks will lead to peace. Meanwhile, the United States issued new Iran-related sanctions on Wednesday. The U.S. Treasury Department in a statement said it imposed sanctions on 5 Iran-based entities and 1 person based in Iran for their support of Iran's nuclear program with the aim of denying Tehran a nuclear weapon. And updates now on the devastating roof collapse at a popular nightclub in the capital of the Dominican Republic on Tuesday. The death toll in the accident has risen to 218, with the head of the country's Emergency Operations Center saying that there was still 1 area to be searched and that 189 have been rescued. The nightclub collapsed on April 8th, and families have been gathering outside the wreckage of the Jet Set Club in Santo Domingo, anxious for information about their missing relatives. The tragedy unfolded during a concert which had drawn hand-drawn politicians, athletes and other prominent figures turned into a nightmare after midnight as the roof suddenly collapsed. And Indian cinema gets a proud moment as Dharma Productions' film Homebound has been officially selected for the Uncertain Regard section at the 78th Cannes Film Festival. Directed by Neeraj Gaiwan, the film stars Ishan Khattar, Vishal Jetwa and Janhvi Kapoor. The team expressed excitement and pride in representing India on such a global stage. Audiences can look forward to watching this heartfelt journey unfold soon on the big screen. And in sports, Chennai Super Kings will aim to bounce back as it will host Kolkata Knight Riders in their IPL 2025 clash at Chepauk on Friday. Chennai has won just one of 5 games while defending champion Kolkata Knight Riders has managed 2 wins but remains inconsistent. Chennai will be led by Mahendra Singh Dhoni after captain Ruturaj Gaikwad getting ruled out due to injury. With Gaikwad's non-availability, there's a gaping hole in the Chennai batting lineup which Rahul Tripathi is expected to fill. Chennai are currently placed at the 9th place, whereas Kolkata are at the 6th position on the points table. Kolkata will be smarting from their narrow loss against Lucknow Super Giants 3 days back and will look to get back to winning ways before it gets too late for the defending champions. And Magnus Carlsen booked a spot in the Paris Freestyle Chess Grand Slam semi-final after beating Uzbekistan's Nodirbek Abdusatoroy 1.5, 0.5 on Thursday. The world number 1 from Norway will next face Fabiano Caruana after the Italian-American defeated Maxim Vachier-Lagrave by the same score. American Hikaru Nakamura and Germany's Vincent Keimer also completed the semi-final lineup following respective wins over India's Arjun Aragasi and Russia's Ian Nepomniachtchi. Meanwhile, India's reigning world chess champion Gukesh Domaraju lost to Hungary's Richard Rapo in the 12th place bracket and was eliminated with a shared 11th place finish. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tahawwur Rana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.